Hey guys, I want to talk about the SAFE Act. It's that big white elephant in the room. I hate making videos on it because every time I do, not only does it cost me subscribers and people leave the channel, and some of those people are very good people too that have left, but also it really upsets people. It really upsets people, and I get a lot of very negative emails and comments about it. So I was hoping to kind of give a little bit of an update, where it's going, what's going on with the SAFE Act, and talk also about why I'm doing these videos on modification and compliance. And hopefully you guys will understand what's going on here and why this information is so important to some people. First of all, let's talk about the products. The AR-15 Spur, the XL Machine Hammerhead stock adapter, the FRS stock. These are all ways you can modify your rifle to make it compliant with the law so that you can not have to register. Now the SAFE Act says by April 15th you either have to register or modify the rifle, or else it becomes an illegal rifle and a felony. And under the SAFE Act, now guys, this is where a lot of people don't understand why so many people are complying with this. Under the SAFE Act, if you own an AR-15 and you do not modify it, if you get caught with it, it becomes a felony. Now under the SAFE Act, if you get caught breaking the SAFE Act, that is a reason for them to confiscate your firearms. Not only is it a reason to confiscate your firearms, it's a reason for them to pull your pistol permit, and they can confiscate every firearm you own, long gun or handgun. So that is kind of a big deal. Knowing that one mistake, getting caught, isn't just a ticket, it isn't just going to jail, it's losing your rights to all of your firearms forever. So, with that, let's talk about why people are modifying. And this is where I get the most flack about people saying, why are you, screwing up your weapon and doing all that over this stupid law. First of all, guys, what we all do with our rifles is our own business, our own choice. Now, I get a lot of emails from people all over this state, all over, and they all have different situations and scenarios and problems that they need to overcome. And they're looking for, and most of the time it is, hey, which of these products do you recommend? This is what I'm doing with it. And what I see a lot of emails from are, number one, people who are competitive or target shooters. Number two, people who have like a designated hunting rifle as an AR-15. And three are, the people who live in areas with gun bans like New York City. There are literally a lot of people in New York City who own AR-15s who store them outside of New York City at like a private gun range or for some facility that will store your guns for you for a fee. Now those people have two choices. They can either modify or they can register. They have to provide New York City with proof that that gun is being stored outside of New York City. So, these guys are very interested in this and they want to do it because there are people who do not want to register, no matter what, but they want to be able to store that gun in a manner where it's not going to get confiscated. We've all seen in the news that New York City is confiscating firearms. They are confiscating hunting-grade firearms. And these people are very worried, and they do not want their AR-15s confiscated. So their choice is to legally modify it so that they don't have to deal with that, so they can continue to store it somewhere and not have to worry about NYPD knocking down their door. And that, guys, and people who are, oh, don't modify your rifle, there are people out there who have to do it. They just have to. There's no other choice. And these guys, I know we're all, keyboard commandos here and think we're tough guys, but in reality, people have jobs, families, mortgages, and not everybody is willing to do 10, 20 years in jail over their AR-15 rifle. So some people do need this information, like competitive shooters. I get a lot of emails from people who shoot competitively in leagues, and they say to me, hey, bushcraft, I will not register my rifle. Registration always leads to confiscation. And that is pretty much a fact. What can I do? I want to shoot. I don't want to give up shooting. I want to continue to shoot competitively. Well, these guys have basically one choice, which is to modify their rifle. Because people who shoot competitively shouldn't have to give up shooting competitively, if they don't want to register their rifle. So these people are choosing to go with things like the stock adapters. And it's completely understandable because those guys, those guns are set up for target. They're not set up for home defense. They're not set up for, shit hits the fan. They're set up to competitively shoot. And these guys, the pistol grip doesn't matter to them. The same thing goes with hunting rifles. People who have designated 24-inch varmint rifles, they don't need the pistol grip, guys. That AR-15 spur works just as good for them. They don't need a pistol grip to shoot from a bench. A lot of people use AR-15s to shoot groundhogs here in New York, or coyote or whatever. You don't need the pistol grip on a 24-incher. For them, and their designated varmint rifle, modification is no big deal, just like mine. My 24-inch varmint rifle, I have no problem putting the AR-15 spur on that because I always shoot it from a bench, typically shooting varmint. I don't need the pistol grip. It doesn't affect me the slightest bit. So this information on how to modify, guys, I don't know why it pisses people off so bad, because there are people out there who need this information. They really do need it. They really do have a use for this. And I highly recommend, guys, I would like to see not a single person in New York State register a rifle. I think the biggest rebellion of all would be if not one single person registered an AR-15 in this entire state. But having a channel, having a responsibility to help people out, I'm trying to provide as much information as I can to that huge variety of people out there who watch this channel and who want this information and want to be able to do things, that they want to do. If guys want to shoot competitively, they need to be legal. If guys want to own that AR-15 in New York City, they got to be legal. It's just plain and simple. And the people who sit there and say, you guys are cowards and you're pieces of shit for doing that, you people really need to grow up, because there are people with needs different from your own. They have a need that they're trying to fulfill, and for you to put them down for that is wrong. If someone wants to competitively target shoot, they shouldn't have you ridiculing them for modifying their rifle. It's what they want to do, and it makes them happy. Now, I understand, if you have a rifle set up for home defense, the pistol grip is a necessary thing. And I understand that compliance on that definitely, makes the rifle difficult to use for its purpose. But once again, guys, what you do with your own rifles is your own business. Leaving dumb comments, putting people down for wanting to modify, is counterproductive. You're hurting other people who want to exercise their Second Amendment rights. Not everybody is willing to go to jail over this, guys. Not everybody, and this is New York, guys, we're not a pro-gun state here. This is a very anti-gun state, and that's something you've got to accept living here. Your neighbors will call the police on you. This is a crazy, stupid state. And it's a different environment from where 90% of you live. And it's a whole different thing. We've had plenty of arrests so far on the SAFE Act. Plenty of people charged with felonies who are facing jail time because they're trying to make examples out of them. Not everybody's that into guns, guys. Some guys, went out and bought an AR-15 on a whim. Now they're stuck with it because they can't sell it. They can't give it to anyone, and they just want to be legal. It's not right to put shame on those people. And let's get into the SAFE Act itself and where we're going, updates, information, all that. I ran long enough on that subject. January 15th comes the deadline to sell or get rid of or modify your 30-round magazines. I myself am choosing, I'm actually going to be sending them out to another YouTuber who has offered to hold on to them for me until this thing passes. And I know a lot of people say, why would you do that? That's just, you can't. Guys, you gotta understand, I've been collecting pre-band mags for years and years now. Getting caught with the pre-band mags I have would pretty much be a life sentence for me. The amount of jail time associated, this is a pretty hefty felony. Actually, the felony for getting caught with a magazine is the same class as committing, rape. So you're looking at 3 to 5 years in jail per instance. So having 10 magazines can give you 30 to 50 years in jail. So I will be sending them off to someone until this gets, dealt with. Now, of course, I'm going to look into other legal avenues, you know. There may be the possibility that you can break them down and store them as parts kits, but until we get some kind of an approval from either the state or a lawyer, you know, the time being, my plan is, come January, to send them out of state until we can figure something out. Now, April 15th is the registration deadline in which you have to register firearms, and like I said, I hope not one single firearm gets registered. That would be ideal. So, where are we in the legal process, guys? Now, I've been following quite a few groups and people, and I've been to quite a few rallies here in New York and done a lot of behind the scenes kind of work that I don't put publicly on the channel regarding the lawsuits that are going on. I donated quite a bit of money, quite a bit of time, and done everything I could to help stop this law. Now, currently there are, I believe, 5 lawsuits pending. New York State Rifle and Pistol Association has one. There's a lawyer named Tresman who has 2. There's a couple others in there. Now, right now, where we are is all of these are in different stages. And all we need is for one of these to get a ruling in favor of us, and the law is gone. And these are actually going to jury trial, so it will actually be a jury that will decide this. Now, here's the problem. Even though the results of this trial could pretty much end at any time, what will happen, and this is pretty much the strategy that's been laid out to me, is if we win and the law is in fact overturned, the state will immediately file an injunction with New York City's Second Circuit Court of Appeals. Now, the Second Circuit Court of Appeals has never ruled in favor of gun rights, ever. So what's going to happen? There will be an injunction, and the law will stay on the books until it goes through that court, and then it'll end up in the Supreme Court for there. So you're talking possibly years that it could get tied up if we win. Now, if we don't win, of course, we will take it to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. We will file for an injunction, which will get denied because that court never rules in favor of the Second Amendment. And then, from there, it will go to the Supreme Court. So basically, at this point, we're going the long haul. We're going to the Supreme Court. It's just a matter of time and whether or not we win or lose those initial court appearances between now and then. This is in federal court. It is going, and, you know, if you follow the news at all, there have been plenty of people who have been arrested under this law, who are being prosecuted, and the DAs are seeking jail time for these people. There's a guy out in Lockport right now who's, who got, his Fourth Amendment rights violated, and they searched his weapon to see how many bullets were in the magazine. And despite this illegal search and seizure, they are still going forward with, criminal charges against him. Unfortunately, we live in a state where they really don't care about your rights, and we'll go ahead and charge you just to make an example of you. So, with all that, guys, I want you to take in consideration before you post comments that there are people with different needs that are not the same as yours and who need and want this information. And you need to lay off and let those people get the information and make their own decisions.